After taking a look at the last movie, I realized that we could spend a little bit more time on how to use the visor and safety of the visor. So first of all, one of the things we didn't show at all in the last movie is the fact that the visor does move up and down. I'm just going to engage the hanger, and you know, the idea of the visor is to be able to do this, is so that you can go from a clamshell dome to a slot in just a second. That's the idea, and to block neighboring lights. Okay, so now that you know that, we talked about the fact that we have these wall hangers that go in when you're storing the pod, or when you're storing the visor, or closing the pod for the night. Now, these can also be used when the pod is open, the visor is in use. The thing is, you have to remember that they're on the wall, because the dome will impact them as it comes around the wall. And I'll show you what I mean. Now, I'm doing this at the door. We usually don't leave our visor here at the door with these brackets pointing out the door. We leave it somewhere else, but because the camera works well there, we're doing it here. Because again, you can put these anywhere on the wall to hold the visor when the dome is down. So right now we've got the dome up, and we're holding the visor by the hanger up here. But as a safety, let's say, for instance, because that extra weight of the visor is now on the dome. So if that dome was to close and it's hanging on here with no brackets, that visor will continue to come all the way down to the ground. It will keep going. We don't want that to happen. So number one, just as with all other usage of the pod, operate the pod yourself. Don't let small children do it, and don't let adults that have been drinking do it. Make sure you operate your observatory. The same goes with the visor. So when you're rotating the dome, make sure that you're not pushing up on the dome. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to take the wall brackets out so that right now the visor is hanging, and I'm checking to make sure it's hanging from the visor hanger. I'm just going to set these down for a second. Now stay there, and I'm going to move the dome a little bit. And as you can see, when I move it, the visor is moving with it. But not only that, if I were to close the dome, the visor is now going to move downwards. We don't want that to happen. So you have to be very careful when you're operating the dome that you're pushing laterally and not pushing up and down. And if it starts to go, make sure that you've got a hold of it. Or, of course, you could always put yourself under the visor as the dome comes down and just let the dome slam down and catch you here. But a better idea might be, if you're going to be in one part of the sky for a while, let's say south part of the sky, once you set the dome to where you want it to be, consider putting a wall bracket in or two, so that should anything happen, and should that dome come down, or should this hanger not do its job, the visor is still being held by the brackets. Just for safety, so that, let's say the dome is closed now. Imagine the dome is closed. I come in through the door and I catch the visor with my back. Let's just say I happen to do it. You're only going to do it once, but if you do it, it is possible for the visor to come down and not catch the brackets. We don't want that to happen. So what I do is really simple. I just loop this loop. I've tied the lace into a loop. I'm just going to drop it down under the visor and then pull the visor through. So as you see now, I've got a catch for the visor. And I'm just going to take that and I'm going to loop it around the bracket, so that should this come off by any chance from the hanger like that. Now, of course, the dome would be down, be in the storage position, so it would be sitting on the brackets. If you were to come in, or if anyone was to hit it and it comes off that bracket, it's just going to come down. You see him drop a small amount. That cord is going to catch it. So now we've got a safety. You can see the way it works. So that has come off there, and because it's made just to sit on there nicely. And another thing is, if you find your crossbar or something isn't catching the wall brackets don't have to necessarily be under your crossbar. The wall bracket will work anywhere. The wall bracket will work anywhere along the visor itself. Just remember that they're there, so that if you rotate the dome, you don't catch them. But they will work anywhere. You can leave them in basically almost all the time, just for safety, absolutely for safety. And then this piece that we've given you to tie off, and then it's easy to remove it afterwards. Just a loop. You loop it around, put it through, tie it off onto your, or loop it around your bracket. I'm looping around my bracket here, so that should this fall, I've got a safety on there, and should anyone come into the observatory and knock this or anything, it's not going to come crashing down. It's always going to be held by that, and you can replace that if you like I said, with another piece of cord if you got your own favorite, if you have your own favorite piece of cord or something else. But it's simple, it's inexpensive. That's why we chose it. We like to keep things simple and inexpensive for you. And if you take a look at the last movie we did, we'll talk a bit more about the hanger, etc. So there's some more information about the pod visor. Hope that's very helpful. Hope you enjoy your pod visor, and clear skies.